Yes, we are live.
Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah. I have this cute book called Design Fiction.
Hmm?
And now let me share my screen. See how it works. Share screen. Entire screen. This one. Are you familiar with the concept of design fiction?
Yeah, I
No,
am. I've used it in a
no, I'm
few
not.
exercises. Yeah.
No.
Excellent. So I realize that we have not been doing design fiction. And I don't know if you remember, I suggested we do some sort of activity in order to figure out what each one of us considers to be a robot. And then Venkatesh, you suggested that we use it to discover white space. But then when I thought about it, I realized that even the black space, we're not exactly sure what it looks like. In other words, we know what a rover looks like. We're going to have it on Mars. It's going to have satellites. But that's not really part of our life. It's part of the robot's life. So I figured let's take an example of a near future robot and try to figure out how it fits into our lives. So in the near future, already now, we can see it with the Roomba, the robots, let's say autonomous devices which do stuff for us while we sleep and while we're awake, and sometimes they do it with us, and sometimes they do it without us, and it can be robotic cars, it can be lawnmowers, lots of different kinds of robots. And one of the questions that we want to ask is what niche are they going to fill? So lawnmower fills the niche of a 13-year-old teenager who's supposed to mow the lawn for $1 a week. But there are others as well. And one of the things that's going to happen, actually, is as we have more robots around us, it will change what we consider to be a robot. But more than that, instead of calling it all robots, and today we also have robots and we have rovers, we're going to start giving them different names for the different niches that they fill. So I figured let's do a design fiction exercise, and I hope we have enough people for it. And first, what is design fiction? So this is from the book, from Wikipedia actually, based on the book. It's a design practice aimed at exploring and criticizing possible futures by creating speculative and often provocative scenarios, and here's the important part, narrated through designed artifacts. And what's important here is it's a speculative scenario, and the fictional world are made tangible thanks to design tools and methods. And what they call is diegetic prototypes, which really means that you can have a dialogue with these artifacts that we create in order to understand what a bigger future looks like. So this is like two lines of theory, and the important thing is that when you do design fiction, you try to make your product as real as possible. So here's my premise. Not so much me, because my hair is a bit short, but anybody who has hair that's a bit longer needs to do hair care. If you dye your hair, you have to dye the roots. You have sores. If you live in the trenches, you have lice. If you have braids, if you have knots, and so on and so on. Okay, the hair is a very complicated object. Today we get up in the morning, we make our hair, maybe during the day you go to a hairdresser, but all in all, you only take care of the hair once or twice a day. So imagine that you have a little robot sitting on your skull and going through your hair and taking care of it. I mean, if you have a Roomba at home, why shouldn't you have a little robot on your head? Okay, is a premise understood? I think everybody agrees that technologically it's doable. Maybe there's no market, maybe there is, but technologically it's very doable. Having, I don't know, a snake-like robot that crawls around your hair and does something for a few hours. Does everybody agree?
So yeah, basically we do some designing, right, or imagination.
We're going to do some imagination, but the point is that this is not a far-fetched possibility. It's just not something anybody does today. Today, people don't have little robots crawling around their hair and doing stuff.
Maybe there is a reason for it.
Maybe there's a reason for it, but that's exactly the point of design fiction. Okay? I'm speculating that in the near future, we will definitely have personal grooming robots, and the most natural one to have is a hairbot. So, what is the exercise we're going to do today? In order to make this artifact real, we have to create the artifact. Anuraj, what you call let's do some designing, yes and no. One of the options is actually to build a design, but what we really want to do is make it tangible. Imagine that you went on Amazon and they had just out now, here bought $70 plus, $10 a month for maintenance. What would you see? What would it look like? How does this product affect our lives? So I made here a list of different artifacts that such a hair robot will have. For example, a sketch of what it looks like. That's easy. How about instructions for use? You buy one of these, it comes with instructions. It has an API, right? You have to be able to program it somehow. So you have some sort of API. You also have some sort of user interface. It obviously comes with add-on products, sold separately, of course. If you have it, there's all sorts of hairdo styles that it supports. It runs algorithms. Who knows what kind of sensors you might want to have. Another artifact is, it's not exactly a journey, it's what does that robot do all day? What would an advertisement for this robot look like? So just think about it. If you build an advertisement for the robot, what you're actually doing is you're trying to put together what will people in the near future, what's going to convince them that they want to have this robot. Frequently asked questions, and of course, any of this can be created using AI. Now, I also have an ulterior motive here. I hope we generate artifacts, and then I can use them in a later workshop having to do with innovation and robots. Okay, but put that aside. What I'd like us to do now is for each one to choose one of these artifacts and create. Okay, so
But it's for the hair bot.
for this hairbot, exactly. Okay, so you can sketch what it actually looks like. You can build an API. Can talk about what algorithms does it execute, what does it do, and I realize that I'm missing the UI. Yeah. So let's get to it. Who wants to do? I mean, two can do the same one, but that's a pity.
So
I'll
do
do
we do it
a.
in the same PPT or somewhere else?
It's a good idea. Let me just make it available to anybody for editing. I didn't think that far. Okay, where do you want me to put it?
Maybe in the Discord chat, right? We want it back maybe at some point.
Okay. And just so you know, so start on page 8. No. I have an alternative personal robotics example. Imagine that you have a swarm of tiny robots, not flies, robots, flying around your head, and they can do stuff for you. Okay, so it would be the same list of artifacts, but let's do the hairbot. So who's doing what?
What are
I'll
the
do the
rules?
drawing and maybe I'll sketch the UI as well. Or I'll do one drawing concept.
Eric?
Is this a personal bot or or it goes around like a barber?
Well, it's in your hair. You walk around with it all day.
Okay. Okay.
That's the point. The point is you get continuous hair care instead of what we have today, where you go to the barber, you get a concentrated attack of hair care. Okay, but then you get into your convertible and drive into the sunset, and the wind susses up your hair. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Eric, which one are you choosing?
So sorry, I can't. Once more.
I said, which one of these artifacts are you going to create?
Which you mean in this list? In the list we can see here.
Yeah.
All of so sorry. Which ones are available now?
Venkatesh said he was going to do the hand sketch and maybe the UI. Anuraj didn't say which one he was going to be doing.
Maybe I'll do the payment plans. I don't know. I'll try that. And
Okay.
maybe sensors. Yeah, sensors and payment plans.
Well, how about each one start from one and then we can each do a second one?
What do you mean?
Choose one, payment plan or
Yeah,
sensor.
I'll do the payment plan.
Okay. So, Eric, which one do you want to do?
Not quite sure. Perhaps something like reliability requirements, if it's available. I didn't get whether it was.
Yes.
And start with that, and perhaps move to the next after.
Okay. So, I think we're going to stop sharing the screen. And here we have Let's give this 20 minutes from now. No. Okay, let's do this Okay, is everybody nearly done?
Can talk.
What?
Yeah, we can.
Yep, I'm ready whenever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Eric?
Oh, sorry. You can't hear me?
No, I'm just asking if you're nearly done.
Oh, yeah. I was the first to say so.
So I didn't quite hear you then. Okay, so let's start. Can you? No, I need to do the sharing. Okay.
There is a shared document.
Venkatesh,
Sorry.
do you?
Sorry.
Yeah, I can go first. Yeah, so I just made a quick sketch on my iPad. So I decided to focus only on shorter hair, so mostly men, not women. Long hair creates like more mechanical problems, so that can
Right.
be advanced model. So this is the simple model, and rather than having like an actually fully autonomous robot running around like it's bug in the forest. Um, I thought this would actually be much more sensible as a wearable helmet. So you treat the head as like a hemisphere and do a basic spherical coordinates gantry robot. So this is actually a very common kind of robot in rectangular coordinates, right? So you have a main, you can think of it as a half equator going on top of the head, and then the other one is kind of like on a longitude line. So it always stays kind of radially there. So it's a fixed length. So it does not dangle. It goes like a wiper blade. It'll move like a wiper blade. So you can think of it as it'll be pivoted at kind of the middle of your forehead on the front and the equivalent point on the back. Those are your north and south poles. So this is like a polar view of the helmet's front on is the polar view. And then the little blue inset is the detail on the actual actuator end. So that'll be the third coordinate, and the end effector can be swappable. But I'm thinking a footprint around 10 millimeter by 10 millimeter, which is like good enough for like detailed combing, coloring roots, spraying a little bit of water, and like changing the texture, uh, cutting, and basically arbitrary 3D printing type cutting geometries. And so the main gross movement is 4 degree of freedom. So longitude, latitude, z-axis, and what you can think of as a rotation around the z-axis in case you want to like comb along the longitude or latitude. And for the UI, I thought the simplest would be an app where you can just give it like a macro level command, like, style the hair in a particular way, cut it, give me a massage, that sort of thing. And then it would be basically like 3D printer presets. So if you switch to the next slide.
Okay, just a second.
Yeah, so this is just to give you an idea of the geometry. It's basically spherical geometry treating your head as like half the earth. Latitude, longitude, z-axis and then a rotation axis around this. And this, I think, is buildable today fairly simply. The hardest part would be a mechanism for switching out end effectors without manual intervention. Like that's the easy way out, where you take off the helmet and like swap out the comb for the spring attachment or something. But the more interesting solution would be, can it actually go to a docking station, maybe on the rim of the helmet, and pick up a new end effector and come back and do more shit? So yeah, this is my most obvious first design.
Okay, so I just have a question. Why does it have to be a helmet? If you have a helmet, you can't use it all day, but if you just have the two arcs, it could be like one of these folding combs, a folding brush that people keep in their pocket. You quickly put it on your head like earphones. In fact, maybe it mounts onto your headphones, and then
Yeah,
it styles your hair. You don't
I'm
need
just
the
calling it
entire
a
helmet,
helmet
right?
for, I don't know, convenience, but yes, it can be a foldable headphone style device. It can also be very lightweight and compact, so you can wear it under a hat, for example, and you can walk around with a hat and it does your hair under your hat. So, yeah, that part is not too hard. I think this can be made collapsible, but it cannot be made soft very easily. I think it has to be rigid for the dynamics to be manageable. It You could think of this as a soft device, but in that case, the end effector robot would have to be a lot more intelligent to deal with basically flexible body dynamics. So rigid is much easier.
Okay. So before we continue to Anuraj, my understanding of design fiction is that we accept that I don't know what to call them, technological challenges are solved, meaning that it is some sort of snake-like thing in your head. And if you think people don't like it, the question is, how do you make a snake-like thing that people would like? But this is a very interesting, let's call it solution to the
So
problem.
I would go to the snake-like solution if I wanted to do women's hair as well. So hanging maybe a foot below the normal hairline, there's no way
Hmm.
this gantry robot could handle that. So then you would need some flexible thing that can basically rappel up and down hair and like do live braiding and stuff. So yeah, that's version two of this. So this is the cheap men's device for $30. The women's device will be $300 and be able to do the snaking stuff.
Well, that
Uh,
Anuraj is now going to talk to us about, I think.
uh, well, if you want to really sell a product for a hair care, like for a robot, I think like I was thinking more like a hair gel kind of stuff that has a lot of nanobots that you just apply to your hair, right? So basically, like it's people already use it, and then if there is a small robot in it, and there are thousands of it, so you don't have, assuming all the technological problems are solved, so yeah, you don't have the selling problem. So it would be something like a hair gel or like oil you apply to your hair, and then you have a earpiece with which you control the swarm, and then you select the service for you want. So that was my imagination how you would make a hair care robot. But the I just asked like Gemini the different kinds of like payment plans you could have. So I think the payment plans are mostly standardized. You could have like different kinds of stuff. Like so Gemini just told me you could either have like a product that uh, basically you pay once, or you kind of have like pay you like a bundled service which you go to a salon, or and then you get the product. Or you could also have something like a car wash system, right? You go and then choose the program you want, and then you get it. So like these are all standard ones. With the fiat payments and with crypto, you could enable even micro actions like uh, take care of that white strand of hair coming out of my head and color it blue or something. uh, yeah, so that is like you could have really small actions with those small robots. Then the one question that I was thinking, like, who owns these robots, right? So are these disposable ones, or
Yeah.
like a company owns it, or are they like independently owned? Because like it could be something like once the subscription period is over, if you wash them, they come off. And if it's during the subscription, they are in your hair always. So that could be something like could be thought about too. Yeah, that was just a short imagination for me. But if you want to sell a product, you won't have a snake in your hair. You would want to have like you would want to have like really nanobots, something like a hair gel you apply to your hair.
How much does it cost? That's what I'm missing here. Okay,
Uh,
I'm
it
agreeing.
should
Okay,
be in the yeah, it should be in the range of like what like normal hair care products, like $3-4 I would say. Like you apply the gel for $3-4, like, and you use it for multiple times. But it depends, right? Like if you have a tiered subscription and if you go to a salon, then they charge you different uh,
right.
according to the local pricing level. They charge you different things for a charge differently for different products or like different hair care routines. So maybe $5 for like a normal hair straightening, and like $10 for some colors, and yeah, something like that. And maybe like $100 for replacing a hair strand on your head.
For implanting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was it from me.
Okay. Eric, do you want to go now?
Yeah, sure. So, so sorry, I'm having trouble to update the slides, but anyway, it's 3 slides up for the. So, just for the fun of it, I am running a Llama 4 locally. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to use the model released yesterday by OpenAI, but it's still downloading. It's pretty big. Okay, and so to take advantage of a new GPU. Okay, and so on this slide you can see the reply from Llama 4. So sorry, I will add the prompt after, but the prompt is just a plain question. Okay, I will read it. So the prompt is let's do some design fiction. We want to design a hair robot. What would be the reliability and safety requirements? Okay, um, and so the answers consist actually of reliability, safety, but it also talks about functional safety and regulatory compliance. Okay, so I didn't have time to paste everything. So it's overall pretty nice. Okay, but surprisingly, there is not a word about, for example, water or dust. Okay.
Yeah.
So I do after that another query, so asking for refinement on the water and dust, and I also ask about IP rating. Okay, suggested IP rating. So IP rating is I think in hardware it's pretty common. It's called ingress protection. So
Mm-hmm.
ingress is what can come inside the system. So it's typically water and dust. And so IP rating, usually you have two numbers. The first one is about dust ingress. And so you have a number between 0 and 7, I think, 6 or 7. Okay.
Yeah. 7.
Six, I think, yes. And the higher number means more protection against dust. And the second number is the same for water. And so on this secondary prompt, it starts by a long explanation about what IP ratings are, okay? Um, giving the full detail. And at the end of the answer, it explains about what would be interesting considering a hair robot. I will just read the first. It makes three remarks. And so the first one is, um, when designing your hair robot, consider the following. First, environmental exposure. Will the hair robot be used in a bathroom, shower, or outdoors? If so, it may require a higher IP rating, typically IP67 or higher. I will paste after in the next slide. Um, but the answer contains a couple more replies like that.
So
Yeah.
Is it easy to do that with a robot,
I,
meeting these IP requirements?
it's most so well. I remember we reviewed, a kind of snake robot a few years ago that is about, pipe inspection. Remember
Yeah,
that? Okay.
yeah.
And so the pipe can have liquid and stuff like that. And I don't remember whether we discussed that in detail, but I do remember that the design where that it's protected again. It can go inside water basically. So I'm not saying it's easy, but it's at least feasible. Okay, in the known with the known technology. Okay, so for that specific after there is the problem of uh, cross cross-cutting requirements with, for example, the design from Venkat, okay, and so on. Is that yes, it's feasible, but is it light enough? Okay, can we make it only with materials that do not irritate skin, for example? Okay, and stuff like that. That I don't know.
Allergy and skin sensitivity.
Yes, the
Well,
weight could be interesting to consider.
I really like this emergency shutdown. I can just imagine the snake robot getting entangled in your hair, and it
Mhm.
has emergency shutdown while it's all tied up. So how do you remove it?
Yes, that's
That, that comes under the frequently asked questions.
mhm.
Um, okay, so I did an advertisement, and I also used ChatGPT. And what's nice about using AI for design fiction, at least in the first draft, is that it generates artifacts exactly like we would expect. I edited a bit what it did. Maybe I ruined it. I don't know. But um, because the format of what an advertisement looks like and what people expect to see and what language they expect to have and what issues need to be addressed, the ChatGPT has seen 10 zillion advertisements already. In any case, you can see there's a main heading, there's a subheading, there's a tagline. Imagine a world where your hair is always perfect, not styled in the morning, but evolving with your day. Introducing Lisa, the first living wear tech grooming system, a biomimetic AI powered companion that resides discreetly in your hair, nurturing it from root to tip, and so on and so forth. And then they talk a little bit about how it has incredible technology and how it's so gentle and how it's going to cost you money all the time and how it adapts to your day, to your mood, however you're feeling, it changes. I actually think it did a pretty good job in the advertisement, covering all sorts of points about what you'd want to have in such a system and why you would buy it. I don't know if it's a good advertisement, but it's compelling with regard to what our life could look like. So if we're going to be like Anuraj, we have this nano gel, and I don't want to ask myself what the sustainability problems are. How do you recycle it? And if we do Venkatesh's concept, so it's a helmet, maybe it's folding, but you have to put it on and take it off. And if you do a snake, well, there's something living in your hair. In any case, we don't just do it because it's fun. It's in order to answer the question, what will personal robotics look like? So Anybody have some sort of intuition, better intuition about what personal robots look like?
So this sort of problem is the reason I actually am a fan of the humanoid robot concept, which Yasha has argued against, because the home environment is so full of extremely specific cases that if you start designing individual robots for each of them, you'll end up with like a glut of crappy appliances of various degrees of like effectiveness. We already have appliance hell right now, and
Yeah.
one of my pet peeves is like crappy appliances that do too few things. So one of my favorite appliances is the toaster oven, which basically does a huge number of things very flexibly. Um, I think my least favorite item, and I saw this in a cooking show by a guy named
What is a
Arthur Roy.
toaster oven?
A toaster oven is it looks like a small countertop oven, so you can bake cakes and cookies in it. But you can also just toast bread to make toast, or you can like heat up micro. Yeah, that thing. So countertop oven. They're actually increasingly popular in India too these days. Yeah, so this is one of my favorites, and we have an air fryer too that does somewhat different things. It's conceptually very similar, like the engineering part is similar, but the shape is different enough that it works better as a fryer. But my point is, this is an example of like relatively effective specialization in an appliance. And if you have this level of bundling of features, maybe your household can have like 15 to 20 major appliances. Robots, since they do a lot more, I think you would end up with a proliferation of several hundred. So the alternate is to go and ask, what's a very general purpose form factor that can do a huge number of things? And one is literally a humanoid robot with like human like hands. Because yeah, one of the easiest ways to do hair care is like mimic how humans do hair care, which is use their hands. So in this case, you would not design a specific hair care robot. You would design a general sort of valet or butler robot that, among other things, knows how to do hair care, but it can also wash dishes and stuff. So
So,
yeah.
are you saying that we're going to have a battle between two visions? One is high-end, expensive, butler-like robots that do everything from scrubbing the floor to cooking your food to dressing you, and the other vision is what you call appliance hell. In other words, a typical kitchen where you have 20 or 30 different robots for different things. You'll have a shoe robot and a hair robot and a closet robot and a floor robot and a special robot for cleaning out cobwebs from the corners and from your fan. So there's going to be a
Uh,
battle between these two.
no, I don't think it'll be a battle. There will be kind of like a complementary breakdown of functions. So you can think of like, I think, four levels of devices in the smart environment. So level one is the environment itself is smart. So you can think of a smart closet with very limited intelligence that can do things like bring the correct hanger to the front, right? A carousel type, a single motor, it just rotates a certain degrees, right? So that'll be smart infrastructure. Next level would be somewhat specialized appliance robots. So you could have like a Roomba type robot, as opposed to like a mechanical current vacuum cleaner used by a humanoid. That function seems to me to be better served by, don't have a human style vacuum cleaner, just make a Roomba, let it do the vacuuming. The humanoid can use a traditional vacuum cleaner, but that's not a good breakdown, perhaps. So the second class would be relatively autonomous specialist robots. Then the third class would be basically human-like dumb tools, but adapted for humanoid robots. So this is like clean out the cobwebs in the corner. The simplest way to do that is actually just like a pointy broom that the humanoid
Yeah.
robot can use, right? Why would you design like a complicated specialist robot to go do corner cobwebs? So that would be my third layer. And then the general purpose humanoid robot would basically be the backstop. So it'll kind of try to generally and at an okay mediocre level solve all problems that nothing else solves efficiently. So that would be my architecture if I had to guess. So yeah, not competition, but some partitioning of the
So
function space.
are you saying that 10 years from now, when I can't sleep at night and I go into the shopping channel at 10 o'clock at night, sorry, at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're not going to offer me a tiny cobweb cleaning drone for just 99.99. It cleans the cobwebs while you sleep and makes sure your house looks pristine. Buy now and get the free mosquito remover. It's not going to happen.
I'm sure it'll happen. It'll just be a crappy product that very few people will buy,
Absolutely.
and they'll be very disappointed by. Like, I mean, look at it now. You go on the home shopping network now, you see lots of very impractical devices. Like, take a very classic general purpose tool like the knife. Now, I use my
Yeah.
knife in my kitchen to do almost anything. The only slightly specialized thing I can do with a knife that I don't do with a knife is peeling. So I have a peeler, but if I don't have a peeler, I can't actually peel with a knife. So a knife is like extremely general purpose. But you go on home shopping network, there's like 50 different weird gadgets to do all kinds of
Yeah.
sketchy kinds of chopping, and I have actually bought and tried a couple of them. They're generally useless. They're like poorly conceived, designed, and built. They fail on all levels, and there's a reason for that. Like, if they had more market demand, they did well, then there would be a reason to iterate and improve the design and get somewhere. But it clearly doesn't have, like, function, ecology, fit enough to evolve further. So I think we'll see something like that. Yes, you will have like a band of like failed, poorly designed solutions and stuff. Hair care might actually be one of those things that ends up being a slightly more specialized robot because there's so many special attachments and stuff, and already you get lots of like weird gadgets you can use on your hair. So yeah.
The first class you describe may seems like the most common in science fiction um, books and so on.
Yep. Oh, did you guys
The,
watch the latest Fantastic Four movie?
Mhm.
I
No,
recommend
only.
watching it because they imagine an alternate Earth set in the 1960s. So all the technology and home environment looks like 1960s mid-century modern decor. And they have a home butler type robot as well as a smart kitchen that has a lot of like smart appliances. But the funny thing is, it's all like 1960s vintage looking. So it's actually very interesting, fully realized design fiction. So I recommend the movie just for that.
And they don't have any appliance help.
Uh, yes, they have. They had all four classes that I described. They have smart infrastructure, smart appliances, general purpose robots, and weird looking tools. So they have like some examples of all of that.
Okay, so here's one question I would uh, like to see. I mean, this is why we do it. Society. If indeed we do have some sort of robotic or nano-robotic um, hairstyling thing, which allows us to continuously change our hairstyles throughout the day. Let's call it a super comb. Today you can have a comb and you can comb your hair differently. But with this robot, you can do much, much more than that. Do you think society is going to change? Or people are going to start using hair signals, um, new classes of people according to how good the robot is? Maybe a prejudice against bald people who are going to have their own robots, of course. Because,
but there is the first thing that each time a robot comes into that takes the job of other people, usually there is a social impact, right? So let's assume here that it's a popular robot, then do hairdressing salons and so on disappear? Or do they mutate, stuff like that?
well, we assume that they mutate because you can't gossip with your robot, can you? While you're waiting for the dye to dry and so on.
Mhm.
So yeah, well, what do you think is going to replace that then?
Hairdressing is a very special skill. If you have been to a bad hairdresser, you'll know. So I don't think they are going to be replaced anytime soon. It's like it's a skill job.
I disagree. I think enough fairly specialized and artistic skills have like fallen in just the last 2 years. You train an RL deep learning model on like uh, 10 million hairstyles and like 10 million 3D videos of barbers doing their jobs. That'll be more than enough to train like a fairly general purpose manipulator robot to do like much fancier hairstyling than any human could. Like I don't know, the Boston Dynamics robots are already like pretty impressive acrobatically, and hairstyling is just like acrobatics on a smaller scale.
But there is also a question of volume because it's a very skilled job for people who care, basically. And I would say that no, that's something very important. In that caring, caring has two aspects. It has people who truly care and people who don't care at all, and people who can't care because it's expensive. So, for example, in Japan, there is basically I don't know, it would be the equivalent of a $10 haircut shop. Okay, the kind of name. Okay,
Mhm.
and basically there is very procedural. Okay, you enter, you have a machine where you pay. Okay, you get a ticket, you line up, and yeah, when one of the booths is free, you get there, and basically it's end to end within 15 minutes. Okay. And also at the entrance of the shop, you have a light. If the light is green, it means that it will be the minimum time. If it's yellow, you may take a bit more time. Red, it means queuing, basically. Okay. And so the thing is that there, it's within a fixed amount of time. So there, you cannot really ask any kind of haircut, right? So usually, most of the time, it's men and children who go there because it's with the machine and it and you cut that and it's done. Okay, kind of simplification. Okay, that's what I mean by not caring or can't caring because that's obviously cheap. Okay, and so here it's already pretty much automated. Okay, I talked with the people there. Okay, all of them are qualified. Okay, they just don't have enough money to have their own salon, basically. Okay, but the thing is that it's already pretty automated. Okay? And so I could imagine a device like the one proposed by Venkat. Okay, um, so with some more apparatus, to automate more. Okay, to be sure that the price stays within $10. And my final point is about volume. People who really care I think it's a very big minority. Okay, I'm talking about globe here. I'm not talking about a specific culture or country. And so after that, we have a big, the rest of the 90 more percent. Maybe they care, they can't afford it, or they don't care. And so then the market could be there.
I think the market would kind of split between like these specialized robots and like mass market haircut robot. Yeah.
Yeah.
The people who care and the people who don't.
Well, I couldn't help myself, and
As the other, there is a
how much?
sociological reason why that could happen. So there's the Thorstein Veblen theory of the leisure class, where the ability to hire human labor to do things that can be automated is actually a sign of like wealth and status. So that's why rich people have like butlers and other like fairly useless servants standing around, because that's one of the most powerful ways to signal your wealth, right?
Yeah,
And I think
Yeah.
even if you take the $10 assembly line type robotic haircut in Japan, you can imagine adding enough AI where that actually becomes like, you know, on the median level better than what the best human hairstylist can do today. Because you can already see that with other craft like things. Like in the 19th century, master craftsmen who used to use like, traditional machine tools, they could do very skilled like lathe and 2D machining. But once proper CNC machine tools came about with like programmable 3D geometries and stuff, these machines can like machine geometries that no human machinist can ever do, right? Uh, but that allows you to create a huge amount of variety that you also recognize it's like mechanically produced variety. So now imagine something like maybe the kind of like gantry robot I described can color like every 10 hairs with a different color, right? So that's
Well,
like extremely laborious, and a machine could actually probably pull it off, and it would probably be kind of too expensive or too hard for a human to do. So
Venkat, you
you
also forgot different parts of the hair was different colors of the
Yeah,
same.
you could do like exactly. You could like have like very microstructured, like 3D printed hair profiles, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this would be recognizable as machine generated hairstyles. And sociologically, what might happen is that's seen as a sign that you're middle class. Like only middle class people do basically 3D printed colored hair, and rich people do something that looks more like they've hired special humans to do it. So I think, yeah, you will have social bifurcation, but it'll be, yeah, signaling based rather than by the limits of technology.
Okay, that's interesting. I just have to read these numbers that ChatGPT made up, but they said 72% of respondents agrees that a good hair day improves their confidence, and 60% says that a bad hair day damages it.
Mhm.
So I don't know, Eric, when you say a large minority, this doesn't look like a
So
minority.
wait a second. Wait a second. Do you have the list of the 15 countries? Because the thing that if all of them are America, Canada, Europe, and perhaps Japan, okay, well, then we are facing maybe a Simon's paradox here.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's no official country by country breakdown. Okay. But I just want to point out this. Brazil, India, South Korea, and the US. Here is often the most time consuming grooming activity. Presumably, people spend a lot of time because it's important to them.
Yep. And I don't
Okay,
think it's strongly correlated to income. Now, a lot of it is just the particular ritual culture around hair. Like, some places women believe you have to brush your hair 100 times at night. I don't know if anybody still does that. Then there's cultures where you braid and oil and stuff like that. So, yeah, part of it
But
might
this is a
just be.
primate feature, right? Like even like monkeys like braid each other. It's like a primate.
But yeah, the bad hair day thing ChatGPT is talking about, I think that's slightly
yeah.
different. It's not necessarily about grooming. It's like, my hair is curly and it behaves differently in humid versus dry hair, dry atmosphere, and it looks better or worse on that arbitrary condition. So that's different from grooming. It's kind of like a response to the environment.
You don't know what monkeys would do if they had a hair
They
care robot.
would break it.
Not Anuraj's nanobot gel.
Yeah, the nanobot gel, I would sell it as a toothpaste. It should cost as much as toothpaste. It should last about a month. You put like a spoonful in your hair every day and give it instructions with an app and then wash it out. Or better
And
than
then,
washing it out, it self destructs.
and then the rats start walking around with nice hairdos.
Now that's a good science fiction story. The hair gel gets into the sewers and then the rats start going around with like stylish purple hair.
So that society is going to change. You can imagine that high status individual rats are going to have nice patterns in their hair, and low status rats won't.
There is something there though. Like if you look at combs, for example, like when I was growing up, combs were a big part of like everybody's hair care, and everybody had combs, and men used to even carry combs in their pocket as a general thing. Like if you
Yep.
look at the Sikh religion, it's actually one of the five ritual objects they're meant to carry. So a knife, a comb, something, something. So that it's like there's five things that Sikhs are supposed to carry. But now combing is like, I don't comb my hair at all. I think I have a comb somewhere, but I basically don't comb my hair. And I think one of the reason is that a lot of the function of the mechanical comb has now shifted to a range of like shampoos and hair gel type things, which have gotten a lot more sophisticated and milder. Like I shampooing your hair every day is now possible with like relatively mild shampoos. When I was a kid, I think shampoo was that was available was too harsh to like use every day. You might do it like once a week or something. So there's an interesting shift from like mechanical to chemical solutions, as well as a shift from basically capex to opex. So fixed implements that you use versus disposable things like gels and things that you wash away. So I think both are trends. Like, yeah, to take your example, Anuraj, primates all do hair grooming, but it's mechanical grooming. They use their fingers as like combs, right? As far as I know, no primate has been known to like invent something like soap to wash its hair with. Um, though I did hear of a monkey species in Japan actually that washes its food. Like one monkey figured out washing the dirt off food actually helps, and
Yeah.
all the other monkeys learned. So they learned some kind of washing for food, but not for hair. Oh, I should. It's not
Yes.
monkeys, but a
Yes.
lot of animals that spend time in mud. So elephants, pigs, hippos. A lot of that is actually to get rid of parasites in their hair. So they roll around in the mud, and the mud gets rid of parasites. Kind of like shampooing, I would say.
And for sunscreen.
Yeah, sunscreen. Yes.
Does it sound like the design fiction is leading to ruling out a robotic outcome? I guess that's one of the outputs of a design fiction exercise, right? Is to
Yeah.
it's we may have a null hypothesis here, no?
Yep.
What the null hypothesis doesn't make any sense. Nothing's going to change, okay? Because you changed it by putting in the robots. So I don't think it's a realistic null hypothesis.
Are there so on the design fiction story? So we already 1 hour above 1 hour, but are there anything we skipped out of the exercise? Okay, that would affect the result.
The purpose of design fiction is to create a discussion. We could have also decided that everybody is going to do exactly the same robot, and we could have gone more deeply into instructions for use, for example, or we could have gone more deeply into API. Obviously, if you have a robot like this, there could be an app store where you buy new applications for the robot.
Mhm.
What do they look like? How do you choose which one you want? Obviously, it's a very visual thing. You don't choose it by description. You choose it by what the hairdos look like. And different people have different types of hair. So there's a special app suitable for curly hair.
Right.
And what about those apps which promise to stop your baldness? Or Anurag suggested strategically implant new hairs where needed. And obviously, you buy a magazine with implantable hairs.
Or augmented hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are 15 minutes past now.
Yeah.
Hair care produces a lot of discussion, it seems.
Have a good hair day. That's all I can say.
Well, thank you, Maria, for the session. Very interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
See you guys next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good night. Good day.
Bye.
See you next week.